What's up everyone, welcome to Drummer's Perspective. My name is Ben Todd and I'm here to help broaden your scope of what's possible as a drummer. Thank you so much for tuning in today, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on the podcast. I really appreciate you wherever you're coming in from. If you are here on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, that really does help me out. Today, I'm super excited to bring you a conversation with the amazing Gerry Pantazis. Now, if you don't know Gerry, he's a guy who I would consider to be just the quintessential all-rounder. He's just played in every kind of musical situation and environment that you can think of. Everything from big arena tours, to musical theater tours, to countless recording sessions, both commercially and from his amazing home recording facility, not to mention all of the live TV stuff that he's done, countless drum clinics, and just a few of the artists he's got to play with, people like Larry Carlton, Richard Marx, Glenn Shorrock, Peter Couples. It's just amazing the list of players and artists that Gerry's gotten to work with over his career, and he continues to do so. Please go and check out his biography and discography online just to get a real sense of just the breadth of work that Gerry has done and continues to do. I'm just about to jump on the call with Gerry and I'm really excited to ask him about his career and his development and how he's been able to establish himself as the versatile, incredible drummer that he is and has the reputation of just being able to play literally anything. I'm also really looking forward to asking his advice for other drummers who really want to be known as versatile players and be able to play in a variety of musical situations and have a long and successful career doing that. So, thank you once again for being here. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy my conversation with Gerry Pantazis. Before we get into today's chat, I want to offer you a free gift just by you being here. And today, it's my 5 tips to improve how you play with backing tracks PDF guide. Now, we all know that playing along with backing tracks can be super fun and enjoyable, but we can also waste so much precious practice time just jamming along and shredding to them. Now, the main issue I hear time and time again with drummers who are playing with backing tracks is this real sense of disconnect between what they're playing and the track itself. It's like they're completely oblivious to all the subtleties and nuances that are going on within the music of the backing track and just in their own little world. Many of the concepts that I discuss in this guide are the exact same concepts that I utilize when I'm asked to record drum tracks for people from my home studio. Here, I'm essentially sent a backing track from an artist or musician, and they're asking me to record drums to their music and send it back to them with the ultimate goal of it sounding like I'm playing drums with the band of musicians that have recorded the track. So if you want to improve your overall musical experience of playing with backing tracks, as well as learn some key concepts and ideas about how to dramatically improve as a drummer by focusing on some specific things when you play with backing tracks, then please head to drummersperspective.com/5track tips and download that free PDF guide right now. Thank you so much, Gerry Pantazis, for taking some time today to sit down and chat with me. I feel so lucky and honored that you agree to do this podcast, man. I'm really I'm a huge fan of you and your playing and your career is like super inspiring to me, and you've just done so much stuff. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing your wisdom and advice, and based off of the amazing career that you've had and continue to have. So yeah. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Even to be asked at my age, it's like it's an honor. So thanks, mate.
Oh no, not at all, man. Not at all.
Even to be thought of, you know what I mean? It's great.
Of course.
No, my pleasure, man. It's a great thing you got going on with the podcast. It's great, and I watched Danny's one as well, and it was fabulous. So I learned a lot from that too. It was great.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
I got to start off by saying that I was trying to remember the first time we met. And I'm pretty sure it was, I can't remember if you're on tour with a musical theater show, I think, in Adelaide, maybe. I was pretty young at the time. And I can't remember if I reached out to you or my dad reached out to you to ask if I could come and sit in the pit with you and watch you play the show.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I have another recollection of the first time I kind of met you was in Adelaide. It was at the John Reynolds drum shop, and I was doing like a product launch / drum clinic for Yamaha drums, launching the Oak Custom, and I remember that was the first time I got introduced to you by your dad. But if it was a theatre gig, Wow. You might be right. Yeah, it was a long time, would have been a long time ago, at least 20 something years ago
Yeah, maybe,
or
maybe.
so. I don't know, man.
I remember like you were one of the first guys that like allowed me to sit in the pit, and it was kind of one of the first times I got to go and be in that environment
Wow. Wow.
and see like how like a theater show went down, like, and sit next to the drummer. And man, like I was just, I remember it being a bit of a defining moment for me, thinking like, I really like this. Like, I really enjoyed this whole thing of like musicians playing a super high level for a live production that's happening on stage. And yeah, man. So yeah, you were definitely one of the guys who put my, you know, career on a certain path, and made me kind of fall in love with that whole theater scene. So yeah, I'm really grateful for that. So
Wow.
thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
let's try and remember what show that was and where it was by the end of this podcast. You know.
All right, we'll get there. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Cool,
Well, it
man.
was in Melbourne. You might have been in Melbourne at the time. Your dad might have been down there as well, down here
That's
as well.
true.
So, you know, and that, yeah, there was a stage there where it was easy for me to get drummers in if they wanted to sit next to me or whatever it was. It was super easy, you know. And you know, I mean, I never had that sort of luxury of sitting in to watch anything really.
Yeah.
So I knew how kind of valuable it would have been for anyone. I mean, you know, to sit in on anything. Like, you know, I kind of wish that we, you know, coming through the ranks and knowing that my idols were, you know, session guns in Melbourne, that, you know, imagine sitting in on a session that way, you know, to see how that went down, you know. So, and, you know, that would have been super valuable, you know, at least for my first studio experience, which was a total nightmare when I was about 17, 18, you know, absolute nightmare. Had no idea. Yeah. Had no idea what was installed, you know, and how to prepare for it and stuff like that. So, so the theatre thing is great. I mean, you know, like, it's so easy these days. You got your AVMs, you know, you hook up a couple in the pit, and anyone can really, you know. I reckon that's where the show is, mate. That's where we are.
Man, 100%. I couldn't agree more. I love it. I love the energy down there, and just, like I said, everyone's working towards like the same goal of just playing the absolute best they can for, you know, a bigger purpose, which is something that I really enjoy. So man.
Yeah.
I just want to I want to start out by saying you're one of the, obviously the most musically versatile and well-respected drummers in the country. Like you have that incredible thing too, where you're on a first name kind of reference with people. You know, when people say like, "Who are we going to get for this gig?" Oh, we'll get Gerry. Or who's on this recording? Oh, it's Gerry. You know, that's all you have to say. People know who Gerry is. But I'm curious, like, for you, being the versatile player that you are, where you're kind of able to do a whole bunch of different stuff, was that always a focus for you, like, coming up? Like, did you always want to be known as a versatile player, or is it something that's kind of happened naturally out of necessity, or how did that work for you?
That's a great question, man. You know, I think it all kind of it kind of came together because I really liked everything. I wasn't one of those guys that just liked rock music or jazz or whatever, or anything. So my main focus, you know, when I was coming up or learning, was just to play drums, period. How to play them really well, just well enough to hold down time, and, you know, and then hopefully establish, you know, a groove, you know, because if there's no time, there's no groove. You know, that's what the great Jeff Porcaro used to say a lot. So that was my main focus. And then stylistically, I guess I loved rock, and then I fell in love with jazz. So then I focused on that, and then, you know, Latin stuff. Okay, well, I better get, you know, it all depends on what your teacher exposes you to, you know, and then you kind of, you know, when someone says, you know, my teacher was like, okay, here's a hand pattern, the paradiddle. Okay, let's work this foot pattern to it. Yeah, boom, 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 boom. It's like, well, without you even know what that foot pattern is, it's a samba-based rhythm, right? So you're kind of indirectly being shown that pattern, which so happens to be something else, but you don't know it's something else. So you develop all these sort of skills because, you know, as you know, Ben, it's all skill-based, this stuff that we do, right? And how well you can do it and execute it. but then stylistically, you've got to be as true to it as possible. So was it a goal? Not really, but I found out that all the stuff that I've been working on with my teacher came into play. It just so happened, I'd be in a rock band and all of a sudden we're playing something funky. It's like, oh, okay, well, I've learned some hi-hatty sort of grooves and things like that I can apply to the situation.
Sure, man. Yeah. That's very interesting because, some guys go through kind of periods, I guess, where they're doing a lot of rock and then they maybe transition and they're in the jazz world and then they kind of come out the end of it like having a collection of stuff. But it sounds like for you it was more like just picking up little bits and pieces along the way, and then now you just have this, incredible toolkit to draw upon.
Yeah, and initially, when I sort of turned 18 and started doing gigs, like, whatever, anything. I said yes to anything I could get my hands on. It was wedding receptions or whatever, anything, just to get out and play with older musicians. And then when you get on a gig like that, I mean, back in those days, you had your dinner set and you had to play a jazz set. That was mandatory. And then you do before the main dance set, there'd be something else going on, some groovy sort of stuff. So you're learning on the gig. I learned a lot of tunes that way too. Because it wasn't so much charted in those days. You had to use your ears a lot, and so I developed that skill pretty quickly. And then I guess my first breakout sort of gig was, playing in a rock band, 2 or 3 nights a week. But good stuff though. Like we were playing we're doing like Van Halen, Chili Peppers, Deep Purple, Jimi Hendrix, Mr. Big. I'm just trying to reel off like bands that we were playing, songs that we were playing around around 93. Living Colour. We were doing a lot of Living Colour stuff. Now all those sort of bands, they had great drummers. It was great stuff to play, and really diverse too. So I kind of cut my teeth doing that. But all in the while, I always had like the fusion thing was always sort of simmering in the background. That was like another outlet that I would get together with some players and jam and maybe do a gig here and there. And, so that was like a real good outlet for, let's say, the improvisational side of things to develop that as well, and to try and execute, I guess, choppy stuff and what have you, because you never know how that stuff's going to work or sound unless you do it, You know that.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Yeah. But that's great. I mean, and the stuff that you continuing to put out and play on that is still in that fusion world is just, it's incredible, man. Like it's
thanks, man.
World class stuff. It's so great. So, man, keep doing that. Keep playing with those guys. I love it. Whenever you put videos out, it's super cool.
Sure. No worries, man.
I'm curious then, like based off of your experience, like what advice would you have for younger drummers, like someone coming through high school or even university who they do want to do everything, like they do want to be one of these guys who can be called for any kind of gig, but they kind of might be overwhelmed just at how much there is to learn, do you have any advice or approaches that helped you or you could share with the younger guys?
That's another great question, Ben. You're going to kill me with these great questions, man. No, it's great. Yeah, I mean, because I teach in the tertiary level as well, and I can see that I see that problem a lot, and so I try and knuckle it down to the individual and what they need to get better, quicker, sooner. Right. So I would, these institutions, they got like, a syllabus, and you really got to kind of drive it home with them or something. And some of it's out of reach for some of these younger players, right? So, and they can get really discouraged, and that's natural. We all confronted with that. So when it's too much to take on, you just go, nah, I've had enough, and you get zero results. So I make sure that they work on their fundamentals first and foremost. Like get that happening now, because sometimes they come through a system and I hate using the word system, but, high school's a system and, whatever. It is what it is, right? So, and sometimes they fall in the cracks and don't focus much on the foundational stuff. So when they do want to take it to that next level, there's nothing there to build the house on, right? Sure. So we work on really, really small things, small amounts, and then we build it from there, and I always just tell them it's not about how fast you play, the speed and all that sort of stuff, because they get bombarded with the whole Instagram, YouTube 30-second drum clip, you know what I mean? And they want to play like that. And it's like, well, that's only 30 seconds. And that drummer's probably taken all day to record that. So I said, don't, it's okay to get inspired by it. I mean, that's fantastic. But how about you listen to someone that's playing a song for like 3.5 minutes or 4 minutes, and then try and play to that, try and apply what you're learning to a song. Or just a click track, or it's so much technology out there, Ben. Where GarageBand, you can just drag and drop a loop, time stretch it, whatever it is, and then just play to it. Like, I mean, I didn't have that luxury, man. It was like I had an old-fashioned metronome, which was a wind-up. I had to make sure it was on a flat surface, or else it'd be get. You know what I mean? It was like,
great.
And it wasn't until later that I bought the Dr. Beat DB66 or whatever it was, and that was great because it was just so rock solid, and it helped my playing and my learning curve. So these kids, so I would just suggest to these to the up and comers, those who are learning, obviously practice as much as you can, and have as little. Interaction with social media. Just put that to the side for a while, and really focus on focusing on playing to a metronome, playing to loops, because that's where it's at these days, man. It's all click driven. Everything's click driven, especially what we're about to talk about as far as the home studio stuff, right? And you know this as well, brother, because you've got a couple albums out. And all the deal. You know the deal.
Yeah, for sure.
So for these young players, get your foundational stuff happening, and you'll be surprised how quickly you develop, how quickly you can develop, and be a better drummer. And more importantly too, man, it's like becoming better musicians too.
Oh yeah.
These kids just want to make drums. Like, oh, that's fine. But, again, with the whole social media thing, you're only seeing one person playing drum kit. You're not seeing them play with a bass player or, a live setting. So when they go and do a music course and all of a sudden they're put in an ensemble, they might struggle a little bit. Whole different ball game,
for sure. For sure.
So, and that's not to say that they didn't get that experience coming up through high school. Of course, they would have done, big bands and small ensembles and rock bands, and that's as valuable playing experience that you're going to get without having to get out and do a gig. That's as close as you can get it, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But you're right. Like, there's so much out there, like so many incredible tools that we have now to practice and develop and get better.
Yeah.
But that kind of goes hand in hand with all of, the technology that's being used for social media and that bombardment of people just with those the clips and the flash and the editing. It's like it's a lot to take in. So I just I sympathize with some of these guys who have reached out to me in the past and said, like, I want to be able to do everything and play everything, but I just don't know where to start.
Exactly,
because there is so much reference now, and it's incredible. It's so great, but it can be a lot to take in. So, man, this is really great to hear your advice on that.
Just to follow up on that, play-alongs are great. Play-alongs have come such a long way since I guess the first ones that really made an impact was the Dave Weckl Contemporary One drummer package, with Rainy Day and Spur of the Moment and those stuff. That's still very hard to play to. That stuff's really, really hard, right? And then Dave released some other sort of recordings. But since then, if you want to learn how to play a jazz sig, well, the John Riley books, that's a great starting point. It's a great it's a great resource. So, it starts with, the ballad, you got a medium tempo, a medium fast, and then you got a bop one, So there's that. And you got the Tommy Igoe stuff. And that stuff is gold. It is gold. But, again, there's a lot of information there. So you got to just pinpoint a few of those tracks that you like, play the groove, the suggested pattern. But then, that's only a suggested pattern. He says that in the book, that's a great guide. But let's say you're working on with your teacher, working on some, and you want to play it to that play along. Do it. Yeah. There's no rules to say don't. Go for
100%. Of course, man. Of course. Yeah. And I think like with the with the the technology and accessibility of recording now, which like we said, we're gonna touch on that in a little bit. Like it's quite easy to record yourself with these tracks and hear how you're playing with them and how you're sounding versus just like playing along and hoping that it's kind of coming out okay. So
that's exactly right. Yeah, totally. And that's the thing. Like students now have all got. Everyone's got an iPhone, so there's a the voice memo function on there is gold, and if they can't rig up, like a little multi-track thing, they can just put it through, their hi-fi speakers, put the phone down, they can play to it, and that's really raw. You know what I mean? That won't hide anything, man. That's like that's like the truth serum right there,
Of course,
and I still do it that way too. Just to check in and see what the hell's going on. Especially at band rehearsals. I'll just record, what we're doing, and then listen back, a couple of days later with fresh ears and a fresh approach, and not remember what went down. So that way you're not, you're listening to it with a fresh objective.
That's really valuable. Like insight, because I know that like sometimes if you do that, like if you're recording yourself in the moment, or you go and record yourself at a gig and then you come home and you listen to it, you've got that mindset. It's not the best frame of reference.
No, it's not, and it could be really soul destroying too. Because you've probably come off stage thinking, oh, that was a great gig, and then you pop in the car and have a listen to it and just go, oh, no. Well, it didn't feel like that when we were playing it, all those sort of things. So you just let it go. I can't remember who gave me that piece of advice, but it was probably my drum teacher, and so who was Peter Blick, by the way. I'll mention Peter, great teacher, great guy. He's like my second dad,
Amazing.
So I think he gave me that piece of advice, but don't listen to it straight away. Give it a day or two and have a listen,
Totally much better approach doing it that way. I'm curious, before we get into like the recording side of things, I wanted to ask kind of about your progression and development again, just because I think like like the older we get and the more experience we get with different things, we can kind of look back on our paths of development and kind of see it from a different perspective. I'm curious for you, like looking back on your career and your development as a player so far, was there ever a period in your life that you can look back on now and be like, I really like went from one level to the next doing, this particular gig, or when I was able to, practice a whole bunch of time, like, many hours during a day, or was there anything that was really like you can reflect on now and be like, I definitely improved in that stage of my life?
I can give you two points. When I finished it was year 12, so it was HSC back in those days. I I remember, so I turned 18 and I did my first sort of pro gig. And then the next couple of years I was doing I studied a marketing diploma, actually, of all things, right? So I didn't go and study. There was only like maybe 2 universities or maybe 3 that were offering music courses, but not that it didn't appeal to me. It wasn't on the radar. And I wanted to practice more. So that's what I did. While I was doing this course, which was a 3-year course, I was practicing heaps. Like I was catching up on like stuff that I'd studied with Peter that maybe needed a little bit more attention, right? So I spent a lot of time going back and opening books and going, can I play that? And if I stumble, I go, right, that's what I'm working on this week, right? So then I went back to, because I took a kind of a gap year from learning off Peter when I was 18, because that was my year 12. Back then, year 12 was a whole different ballgame. It was like, exams were worth like 100% sort of thing. Wow. So if you didn't get, you know what I mean? It was a lot of pressure for the last sitting, right? So to combine drum lessons every, Saturday morning and that was just too much. So I respectively said to Peter, I said, they're going to take a year off and then I'll come back when I'm, next year. And he didn't believe me until I rang him the next year and I said, I'm ready to come back, right? So I came back. I went back to him. We picked it up again, and all the while, refreshing all the old stuff. So that took 3 years to kind of get really polish that stuff better. Everything. As much as whatever information he gave me, I went back and just did it all again.
Great.
And then the next pinnacle moment, the next sort of moment when I knew that. Things were starting to change as far as, doing gigs was, I landed the Tommy Emmanuel gig. I was 20. Oh, no. 26. I was 26. When I was 25, 26, 27, they were like the pinnacle years as far as when I kind of knew, okay, I think I'm able to make a living out of this.
Amazing. Yeah.
So, but in between then and when I was 25, so from, 20, 21, 22, 23, I was gigging heaps. I was playing a lot and meeting a lot of different people. And that's the thing too, Ben. It's like, this is when you start playing with people that don't know you and they know whether you can play within the first bar, right? You count something in and you play, that one bar will dictate your pretty much whole career.
I love it. Yep, it's true.
It's true. It's true. And then as soon as you get that look from the bass player, this kind of, the look.
I know.
It's like, yeah, man, that look. And everyone turns around. It's like this. It's almost like this validation. But as a young player, you don't know that because, you don't know who else they've been listening to and who else they've played with. And I was lucky because I got to play with, like I said before, like older musicians, guys that were like 5, 10 years older than me, who'd been there and done it. And they were at a high level doing TV work, sessions, the whole bit. And trust me, when I did something wrong, they told me. And it was absolutely. I'd rather hear it from them than, I'd just rather hear it from them. That's it. I was never after compliments. I was always after critique from those guys, and my drum teacher was the same, like Blicky was always the guy that when, you present your work to him and the seal of approval was this is all I got from Peter, man. I love him. He goes, yeah, good. Okay. So let's move on. That was it. Right. Yeah. But if it wasn't quite right, he'd let you have it and he'll tell you why it's not right. That was the important bit. He will tell you why it's not sounding the way it should sound. And then he'd demonstrate. That was it. He'd demonstrate. Once you heard it being done by someone that can actually do it, the penny drops. You just go, that's it. That's what it's going to sound like. So that was that was all the way up, which led to like, getting gigs like playing with Tommy and then, touring with him and then some session-y stuff and some TV work and filling in like Bruges, Darren, was a big. I was so lucky to get recommended by him, to do certain things, and so that's the way it goes. So that was those two moments when I finished high school and started practicing heaps. I'm practicing lots, and then eventually getting a gig, which was like, oh my God, it's Tommy Emmanuel. I'm sure there was other moments, there were other things in between, like other moments. I just kind of went, yeah, this is. Wow, I just got a call to do this or whatever, I'm sure there were some other things, but that was the one I remember the most because that was like a phone call out of the blue.
Yeah, wow.
It's like
That's
I got
amazing.
a call from. Yeah, it is. It's it's just the feeling you get when someone says, "Oh, hi, Gerry, it's Tommy Emmanuel," or someone that you know who it is and respect his playing. You go and I say, yeah, sure. That was my response. I go, yeah, right. Yeah, who is this? Oh, no. Have any validated, but I got your number from such and such, I'm after someone to come and play and do a tour. I went, right. So my audition was basically going to his house with a pair of brushes and playing on a phone book. That was that was kind of the audition without even me knowing it.
Oh my gosh. What a story,
right?
man. What a story.
It's
That's
pretty
amazing.
cool.
It's so cool. But, you wouldn't have been able to, continue and execute that gig if you hadn't done all the work leading up to that point. So it's that whole thing about being ready for opportunity, because you never know when it's going to come. So
exactly right. And that's why the theatre, let's just tap in back onto the theatre work and stuff like that, is that, with theatre drumming or theatre drumming is like, it depends on what show it is, obviously, right? And the content. But, let's say your traditional theatre show, right, which is kind of like the one I just did with Midnight, the Cinderella musical, There was such a broad spectrum of styles and approaches, right? So, like, to me, that was like that's a legit theatre gig, right? Something like, let's say, Mamma Mia was more like, the ABBA songs. So it's those, right? So you approach, you got to approach it that way. But when you're going to play like, a big band swing number, and then you got to do a Latin thing, and then you got to play, this show had like a lot of 6/8 sort of power ballads, which I love, absolutely love, play a slow 6/8, where it's almost falling off the edge, doom, doom, like that's challenging stuff,
right?
Oh my
gosh, 100%.
So all those different styles, it's like, there it is. There's the different styles. So that's where you do all the hard work when you're young, because one day you're going to get that call to go on a theatre show, and then boom, Gerry was right. Yeah, that Latin thing, that saved my ass,
Great. That's true, man. So true. And I think like that's kind of, that was my impression of what a theatre gig was when I was younger, or being a theatre drummer, what that required, which was just being so versatile, being able to just play any book, that whether it is, like one genre or, like you say, there's a big band thing and a Latin and a swing, funk, whatever, like that's a real kind of challenge as a musician. But that's, you've done so much of that work, and it's a testament to the versatility that you've been able to apply to, then doing a big band gig. It's not like, I can play this one big band chart in this show. Like, then to be able to play a whole gig in those specific genres, that's a different skill set as well. But and
that's a cabaret, like even doing a cabaret gig, like that's one of the toughest gigs. That's a tough chair in any way, shape, or form. It's a tough gig, and if people say, oh, you're a reader, you can read through that. And you kind of go, yeah, I probably could, but gee whiz, there's a lot of stuff going on, that you just want to take some time to decipher the information and make sure that what's written is, kind of correct before you start trusting the chart,
For sure.
Because sometimes the chart can be a bit misleading, and it's like, and I've fallen into that trap so many times where, it's reading time now, and I launch into a certain thing, and you play that accent, then all of a sudden, but no one's playing it. Like, well, why am I playing it? And then all of a sudden you start losing faith in the chart a little bit, am I going to be? and so that's where that's where a lot of rehearsals come into play.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
always handy, about
Yeah.
trying to make a fool of yourself, which I can do very well by myself anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Oh man, that's great. It reminds me. I just last week I was super lucky to have an interview chat with Chong Lim, and he was, of course,
Chong, yeah,
he was singing your praises a lot. But yeah, he was kind of saying about this that concept too of like the dots only tell you so much. Like if you're just in the chart, like you're only going to get like such a small percentage of what is in the music,
Yeah,
So,
yeah, totally.
I was asking him, what, like a TV gig, how much information does he give the drummer? And it was just generally like a kind of a framework, like a shape, and then get the best players you can to trust to be able to bring that music to life and not just play the dots.
And Ben, we got to extract that information. It's just dots until it becomes music. That's all it is. And look, I'm glad you mentioned Chongy because he was another guy. He's another pinnacle moment. I just forgot. When I started playing with a great singer called Christine Sullivan's funk band, and that was like probably 94 and 95. I just finished doing this hard rock thing, so I'd managed. I don't know how I got this gig, but I got recommended for the gig, and Chongy was one of the keyboard players. Like he would fill in on that gig a lot. And another great keyboard player who's sadly no longer with us, Ricky Edwards. Those guys gave me so much time. Like, again, I was at least 5 to 10 years younger, right? So these cats were already established. Like Ricky was playing with a whole bunch of different people, and he was already producing the records. And Chongy was on the scene too, doing all that stuff. And I was there when he announced. He may not remember this, but we were all doing the gig with Christine at the Royal Derby Hotel in Melbourne. And then he came half-time in the band room and said, this is going to be my last gig. And we all kind of, how come, man? What's going on? He goes, I've just landed the John Farnham gig. So it was that transition of Hirschfeld when Hershey finished, and when Chongy got the gig. I was kind of there when he announced it to the band, and I'm left going, "Wow, man! Wow. I mean, congratulations, of course, So, and I remember being really cheeky on the gig, like at the end of every song, in the second set. We'd finish the song, whatever it is, but on my hi-hat, I'd play, you're the voice. Yeah. Right. I was pretty cheeky. I would never, I might still do it now. Yeah. But I just remember being really cheeky and doing that. But Chongy was one of those cats that, if you did a really good job, back then he wasn't musical director. He was just playing keys. He was being a keyboard player, and he was doing all the Roland demoing at the time too. He was like really heavy into the research and development side of Roland, along with his mate Adrian Scott, and I kind of got in on that angle too with the electronic drum kits. I used to demo some of that stuff, So, that's that whole thing. If not, if you can play one bar that's in time at the beginning, man, you'll be good. Right. You're good. Yeah. You're good to go. But and Chongy's great, man. Like he's one of those guys that does give you a sketch of a drum part, the idea, the gist of it, and then he goes, bring it, And he's also great in letting you know when it's not quite right, And as a drummer, you got to take that on and go, yep, what can we do to fix it? So it's like that whole drummer thing, except when we do it online, it can take a little bit longer, but the process is still the same, So you having someone produce a drum track, you got to get it right for them. It's not about what we do. It's about satisfying the need of the song, and if you've got to overdub a cymbal roll over your already existing drum part and you're kind of arming and ahhing, oh, come on, man. What's the point? No. They want that cymbal roll for a purpose, man. Just do it.
Do it.
Just do it.
Sure, man.
Just do it. Nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
you know. And
this is great because it leads me into like asking you about your home recording setup and you know, because again, Chong was mentioning that he gets you to do a lot of his drum tracks that he needs, you know, so you can record them from home, which is incredible. So I'm curious now, like, what percentage of your recording work is from home and what's still in commercial facilities, or is it really just kind of gone all home?
Sadly, it's at this point in time, it's all from here. You know, it's very rarely that I get called in to go to a let's say a well-established studio. I think Danny was alluding to the fact, like I think Sing Sing South, I think it's called, on Chapel Street or Church Street, that's closing down. I mean, that's the last one that I know of the sort of the commercial type studios, you know. So I think, look, at the minute I'm just doing stuff. It's all from here, you know, and that's a sad state of affairs. But sometimes I might get called to go to someone else's home studio. But it's very rare though, you know, because sometimes they're more than happy for me to do it from home. You know, I mean. Sure. You know, and I'm not fussed either way, Ben. So you know,
I mean, you sent me that recording a few weeks ago that you not only played on, when the playing is phenomenal, of course, but you said you also mixed it, which was like,
I have a copy of the. Let me just show the viewers.
Please, let's see
what we're talking about. I think you're alluding to this little nugget.
Yes,
Luoda.
Man. Yeah, it sounded phenomenal. Like I said, both playing wise and mixing stuff. I had no idea that you were that like into that world of mixing and producing on that level. Man, it's phenomenal.
Oh, mate, thanks, Ben. Well, thanks for taking your time to listen to it for starters. You know, I mean that album. Well, this album came about because we'd done some gigs. We did maybe one or two gigs before lockdown, before 2020, and then we already always had the vision of recording it, like whether we were going to go to a studio and track it and you know what have you. But COVID took care of that quick smart, right? So I came up, I said, look, why don't we get a start on it and I'll track the drums from here. And then once restrictions can become loosened a little bit, I'll get the bass player over and then the keyboard player over. And I got our Glenn Cannon, who wrote all the stuff, to come over and play guitar on it. So that way we had the beds all done and then handball them over to the singers. And, you know, Janine Maundle was the first one to lay down her vocals. I mean, and so it was a slow process. But then she would hand it over to the next person and what have you. So, and then all the files came back here. Now I had no vision. I wasn't expecting to mix it. My thing was like, I'm happy to track it. You know, although you know I've mixed some other things in the past. You know, I didn't want to step on anyone's toes, on anyone thinking we could do it somewhere else. You know, so I kind of. But what happened was, because I tracked all the guys here, so what I was sending as rough mixes for the vocalists, you know, everyone was listening to it and going, well, why don't you do it? So that's how it happened. Right. That's how that happened. And I went, okay, all right, I'll keep chipping away at it, and you know, and that's the beautiful thing of doing it from home, Ben, is you got the clock's not ticking. You can take your time, you know. So those mixes that you that album that you've heard, you know, that's not a one day. It's a 10-track CD. That's not, you don't mix that sort of stuff in one day or 2 days. You know, that was done months, and you know the amount of care that I took into it. You know, it's like a 10-piece band. You know, there's 4 vocalists. That's 8-piece band, I think. How many are on this damn thing? There's a few of us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, it's 10. Yeah, I was right. So, you know, try and put that in a stereo left and right. with really kind of heavy arrangements and things like that. So the element of space was an issue. Like, where do I put things, and where can I, how can I make that ride cymbal really just sit in the mixer? That way, if someone's transcribing this stuff, if they're bored out of their minds, that they can hear what's being played.
Yeah.
Can they hear what the bass player's playing? Can they hear vocally? Can they transcribe the lyrics? All that sort of stuff. I take my time on to, and make sure that each track is somewhat musically together, as if you're listening to it in the same room. And that was and that's the hard thing too, was like trying to make it sound like we're all in the one room, tracking it, playing it together.
Yeah, you can have that approach as a player, like to try and play like you're all together, and then the mixing thing is a completely different thing again, where to make it kind of gel together. But that was something that really did strike me about the quality of the mix. Is, like you say, it's quite dense arrangements in some places, and intricate parts, a lot of stuff going on, but everything had its own place, and it was clear and articulated, and that's not easy to do, man. So like huge respect for that. So I want to ask, man, like, now, like you can record from home, you can make incredible mixes, you obviously an incredible player, teaching. Nowadays, how important do you think it is for drummers and musicians to have a diversified skill set, outside of just their, like, being great at their instrument? Like, do you think it's important and necessary for people to kind of open themselves up to be able to do other things?
100%.
Sure.
100%. In the way things are going, and the way that it has been going for, let's say, the last 10 years, definitely jump on it. Because like we said before, all the big studios are gone, so everyone's making records from home, or they're building really good sort of rooms at home to facilitate recording drums or whatever. If it's just a project studio, man, there's some great stuff coming out of that. Amazing. So for the young, I talk about it a lot at a tertiary level, during lessons. As soon as they start mentioning recording, and they might know that I've done some, I kind of tell them, start investing in, and that's the key word too. You're investing in equipment. You're not spending money, you're investing, because the more you get sort of clued in on how to record yourself, more importantly, you're going to open yourself to other people you're hanging out with, bass players, singers, guitar players, what have you, So if you get your skill set in learning how to record properly, having a good room, it still starts. I tell you where it all starts, man. All this sort of stuff is still going to start with the playing, right? So no matter how, well, I've got to be careful what I say here, but you know what I mean? It's like your playing is your utmost important thing, and how you attack your drum kit, how you sound on the drum kit, right? That's number one. Number two is how your drums sound, right? Number three is like how great or how good do your drums sound in a particular room, right? So we're not talking gear now. We're not talking recording gear at the moment. We're not even touching on microphones, preamps. If we're running Pro Tools or Logic, it's got nothing to do with that, right? It's got everything to do with how good your drums sound in a particular room. Now, if you can get a good sounding room happening, slapping on some microphones. Now, it doesn't matter. I started really humbly with, as far as an interface, it was a 002, man. Right? Yep. 002. And then I expanded it with a Focusrite Octopre, which gave me, I added to that, which gave me an extra 8. I had 16 channels, man, to track to.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, you know.
Yeah.
8 was plenty. Like 8 was plenty. 8 was too much, actually, you know. You know, you can get great results with just kick, snare, and like an overhead or 2 overheads, you know. But because the gear now is so sort of accessible and the prices are competitive, you know, these companies are making really good gear for, you know, so it's worthwhile investing that money in buying, you know. So now we're talking. So now we're talking gear. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so sure. It's a lot of levels to get to that point.
Yeah, and I tell that to the younger guys, the younger players. You know, you got to get into you know, it's a good thing to get into. Start learning some skills about recording. Talk to your fellow bandmates or other musicians who may have had experience in recording studios. I mean, personally, Ben, like I learned from looking over some really great engineers. You know, I kind of came in at the tail end of when, let's say, I remember recording to ADATs, which was like a VHS form of recording, you know. Wow. So that's technically tape, right? That was all tape. And I do remember recording, like, you know, so the normal reels and things like that. But it wasn't until the ADATs came along that I did some stuff with that. But then, and engineers would be engineering. I mean, I'd be listening back and going, wow, why is that? Hey, that sounds great. You know, so I'd sit there for a mix. You know, I'd sit in the corner and just listen, not ask any questions, just listen, you know, what they would do. But I also took note of, like, when I was playing, I look up and go, oh, what are these microphones? What brand are they? And I made mental notes of, like, and there'd be reoccurring microphones in different studios. I'd go, oh, yeah, we use those in some other place. You know, so, oh, they must be good. You know, like your 50, like, you know, your standard 57s and things like that. You know, and I've got a pair of AKG 414s. You know, and they're my room mics now. I've got some other things for overheads, you know. But so that's what I tell, just going back, I just tell young players to get involved in recording now, because that's where it's all happening, you know.
It's so true. So true. Especially with, like, online collaboration being so easy now. It's kind of one of those things now, if you don't embrace it, you kind of get left in the wake a little, which is really sad, because it's you know, it's a definite shift in the skills that are required to have a successful career as a musician. Like, perhaps at some point, you know, it was enough just to be an incredible player. And I'm not saying that, you know, there aren't guys who just play and are making a great living. That there certainly are a lot of cases.
Absolutely.
Of that still. But I'm just saying, like, if you want to think about having a long, successful, you know, sustained career, I think as many of these skills, like you say, that you can pick up at an early age, like that's only a good thing.
And I started, like, doing recording from home like 20 years ago, like, or more than that. You know, I mean, my first decent machine that I had prior to the 002, 002. I've still got it, man. I use it as a control surface. It's great, you know.
Oh yeah, great. Yeah.
I still love, like, you know, faders and things like that. I just, you know, I need something to slide up and down. You know, it's good. It's great hand, and it's great for you know, on the fly automation too. You set Pro Tools to go, well, I'm going to write an automation. So rather than sitting there with your mouse and kind of going, you know, click, click, then, you know, bending this and that, you just do it all on the faders, man. It's great. You know. Yeah. And you can do it as many times as you want. None of it sounds wrong. But my first decent sort of recording machine was a VS2480 a Roland hard disk recorder, which I got in 2000. You know, that thing, that I've still got that somewhere. That thing was a beast. That thing never fell over. Like, amazing. We recorded an album on that with Craig Newman and Simon Patterson called Project 3. And, you know, and it was in the early days of hard disk recording, because I mean, at that time, Pro Tools was everywhere, right? But the problem with Pro Tools was there weren't computers that were fast enough. So the hardware was great, but the software was terrible and the computers weren't powerful enough to run it. So
Wow.
I'd be in a studio, and then we'd be, the Bachelor Girl album was like done on tools, early, that was 98, 99, sort of, but 98, 99, something like that. And as much as it was an incredible experience, you'd get the circle, the spinning circle of death. And then the thing would crash.
Oh,
Mid take, you'd be mid take. And it didn't happen on just that session. It happened on heaps of other stuff, in other studios. And I just went, well, this is not cool. And that's when I found out about the Roland hard disk recorder, and luckily I had contacts at Roland, and I mean this machine retailed for $10,000.
Oh my goodness! Wow,
$10,000 in 2000. And
back then,
yeah, I got it for not that, because I had I had an endorsement, with them, and still $5,000's a lot of money, man.
It's a lot, man.
$5,000, but it was rock solid, and it wasn't until years later that I upgraded to a PC which was powerful enough to do what I wanted to do, which was record 16 channels of drums or whatever, The Roland hard disk recorder did that, and it did it better than anything on the market. That was my opinion, anyway.
Yeah. Man, how far we've come that you can essentially multi-track record on your phone now. That's
crazy, isn't it?
Insane.
It's insane,
man. Yeah, but that's such like a great like perspective and look back on, like I said, the development to make everyone kind of appreciate, like, we've got so much great stuff and great tools that we can use now, and it's easy and it's accessible for everyone. But of course, like, that means that a lot of people are trying to do it. So if you are going to do it, it's one of those things you just got to learn as much as you can, get the best sounding room, best gear, like all the stuff you're talking about is just it resonates so true, for sure.
Yeah, totally. And then you can, and there's so much now this is the great thing about, like, YouTube and Instagram or whatever. You can see little tutorials, by some of the great engineers. They give you little hints. They're not going to give you everything, right? Because right? We all know that. But they give you enough to kind of give you that taste of, like, wow, okay, this is the results you can get if you put your overheads a certain way. So, or close miking a snare drum or a tom or whatever it is, you learn that, and you can only learn if you try it,
Sure.
You got to try and listen back, what's good about it, what's bad about it, does it suit your style of music that you're recording, so, sometimes miking things, it's not like, the same thing all the time. It's got to be different depending on what you got to play to,
Man, it's such great advice. And
the other thing too, like, telling young people to get into it as soon as possible, building up a little studio recording space, is that I say, look, not only are you going to be recording, but it's going to make you a better player.
100%.
And I tell them that, and they kind of look at me, well, what do you mean? I go, well, the client's going to want you to play to a click track. Now you're going to have to learn to really facilitate that. And like a lot of producers don't want to sit there and start fixing your playing because of, so give them a take where you sit there and analyze your own playing to the point where, if the answer to your question is, can I play this section better? And if the answer is yes, you do it, because you do it. You got the time to just go in there, punch it in, or play another take, until you listen back to it and go, that's sitting right in the pocket of where it should be. And then you don't have to kind of deal with people going, oh, it's out of time and da-da-da. It's like, no, you learn that straight away, by listening back and recording yourself to, because we might just get a stereo stem, with no drums, and then maybe a version with drums as a guide to what the client wants, So you got to be in time. You got to make it. You got to make their demo sound like $1,000,000. That's what you got to do.
Yeah,
that's what you got to do.
And that's the thing. Like you say, when you have that time at home, it's a blessing and a curse in some ways, because
absolutely
sometimes you like, you can take the time to really like get into something, but if you get into that, spiral dark place of
man,
that was perfect, I'll do it again. Yeah.
That's happened to me so many times, Ben, if time is not of the essence, let's say the client's not that in a hurry to get the tracks back, right? Because they've got other things they've got to do, right? So I take that into consideration, like at my end. So what I do is like I'll spend, I'll chart it out and get it mapped out, and then know the form, and then I'll sit there and play 3 or 4 takes in a row. I mean, not heavy fusion. If it's heavy fusion stuff, 4 or 5 takes in a row is going to kill me, right?
Yeah.
And then you start losing perspective of what it is you got to play. But if it's a pop song or whatever it is, something that's not as a lot of notes or whatever, So I'll do like 4 or 5 shots in a row, and then remember what my advice was earlier, like, let it go, come back the next day and have a listen. Yeah. That's what I do. And you'd be surprised what the take that you thought was the worst might be the one. It might be the one. It's amazing. Yeah. It really is. It's I don't know why that is, but again, it's our perspective and how hard we are on ourselves as drummers, right? To get it right, we lose perspective on and that's why it's always great to track with someone on the other side of the glass that can listen to it while you're doing it. Because they can tell you, we got it.
Exactly. You've got that outside voice and
voice. And I know Danny was talking about that too. And it's like, I couldn't agree more, because or else you're going to be there all day, playing the same thing over and over and kind of going, well, you don't know what's sounding good anymore, But if you've got the luxury of, put it aside for the day, come back the next day and have a listen with fresh ears. You'd be surprised what happens, man.
That's the best. Wow,
it's great.
Yeah, that's something that we should all try and remember for sure, because it would help a lot. Yeah. I want to kind of transition and maybe wrap it up with something that I think like a lot of guys really admire and respect you for obviously the great player that you are, but you've done some super like high pressure gigs in the past, like some of the live TV stuff and awards shows, and I'm sure like big sessions at some point, and that kind of stuff. That's intense, So I wanted to hear your thoughts on, what advice you might be able to share with drummers who want to get into that world and perhaps have an opportunity to do like a really high pressure gig. How do you prepare for something like that, aside from just playing, like you can play your instrument, but all the other elements of doing like a live TV kind of thing, do you have an approach for that?
Pray. Praying's a good one. No. Yeah. Okay. Let's get serious. Okay. So something like, Carol's is we nicknamed that gig being in the stress pit. Because Craig Newman coined that phrase, and I love it. I think it's hilarious. Wow. It is, it's a stressful environment to be in. So that my advice, if anyone gets, even if you do one live performance on TV, not even pre-recorded stuff's pretty nerve-wracking too, right? Yeah, when you pre-record something that's going to be aired at a later date, right? That can be really terrifying. So, Carol's is a sight reading gig. That's a reading gig, period, right? I mean, but I've been doing it for 20 years now, so we kind of get some reoccurring charts that come through. We go, yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Oh, that's a new one. There's a couple of new ones that you got to, you might get stumped on at the first rehearsal. But that's the thing. You get the chance. You do get a chance to rehearse. Albeit very little. You do get a chance to rehearse it. It's not like, we're going to set up and play, and it's going to be live to air. That doesn't exist in any way, shape, or form.
Sure.
So I advice to younger players, if they ever get put in that situation, get the charts prior to going in there. Right? Mm-hmm. Get the charts or get the MP3s. Get someone to send you some stuff to prepare for you what you're about to embark upon.
Yeah.
And then do the homework, have a listen to it, make some notes on the charts, and that way when you walk into that first rehearsal, you're prepared, and that way you can kind of run the show a little bit. I mean, from the drum chair, you're running it. You know what I mean? That you know what's coming around the corner on that chart. When you turn the page, you go, oh, that figure. You're already way ahead of the game, right? So that can make you feel. That can really build confidence. And feel comfortable about doing that sort of stuff. So that's the piece of advice I would give to anyone who's ever going to be confronted with that. I mean, if you're confident enough to be an amazing reader and do it, good luck. That's all I can say. But for younger players, it's sometimes a good idea just to be a bit prepared.
Yeah.
And that way, like what we said before, if they can hear you play the first 1 bar, 2 bars, 3, you're nailing it.
Yeah.
Someone's going to hear you, man, and then you're in. You're going to be recommended for a lot of different stuff, So that's the piece of advice I would give.
Amazing.
Get the stuff beforehand,
Yeah, that preparation. Gosh.
Preparation. It's all preparation.
This has been so great, Gerry, man. So much amazing information in there. I feel like we could keep talking for hours and take a lot of direction. But
I got nothing to do, man. I'm telling you, man. I mean, I got,
man. We'll have to do a part 2 because I really feel like there's a lot of areas we could dive deeper into. But I want to respect your time and I just want to.
I would love that, man. I would love that,
cool.
And
awesome.
I could probably, ask you a few questions too on your records and your writing process.
Cool, man.
And because you're one talented man, I'm telling you, your albums. When you sent me that last album, man, I had that on. I told you, I think I texted you and said I got it on high rotation in my car. I can't stop listening to this thing. So,
thank you. That really means a lot. Thanks, man.
You're most welcome, man. You're an incredible musician. Really are.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, man. I want to. Like I said, you're a huge inspiration to me. Like not only as a player, but in terms of just what you've done. Yeah, with your career, it's been sustained and versatile, and you're super well respected. And I really look up to that and admire that. So, man, what are you working on at the moment? Where and what's coming up next, and then where can people find you? Like if they want to follow you and check out what you're doing.
Oh well, I guess the usual place would be Facebook. I don't know what the thing you might want to chuck it in there later. Like
I'll put it in. Yeah.
If I put to that like that, it'll be there, right? Okay, great.
Bing,
so,
come up.
Bing, done.
Yeah.
I've got an Insta account as well, which I occasionally put up some things in there, little clippies and things like that. But what am I up to at the minute? That's a good question. Some Darryl Braithwaite gigs are looming very soon. We're playing next week in Mount Isa. And then there's gigs that will kind of carry us all the way through to December and hopefully January. So I got that going on. Have I got tracks happening in here? I got nothing going on at the minute. Oh no, I do. I lie. Sorry. We're working on some Jeff Atchison tunes. Jeff's a great guitar player that I've been involved with for close to probably 18, 19 years, Jeff Atchison and the Soul Diggers, and that's a great band with Roger McLaughlin, the great Roger McLaughlin, and a fabulous keyboard player, the great Richard Tankard. You won't mind me saying that. He's great. So we're working on tracks with piecing an album together. We kind of started recording some stuff over during COVID. So now we just want to put it all together and make one album, and release it the old-fashioned way on a CD or something like that, or vinyl.
Oh, great!
Yeah. So I'm working on that. Luota are doing a gig, I think August the 30th at Monash University. So we're going to be playing tracks off this album, as well as a couple of new ones. What else have I got? I'm just doing some teaching, some practicing. I've got some gigs with Russell Morris coming out at the end of the year with the orchestra,
Awesome.
doing orchestra gigs, which we just recorded at Hamer Hall, and that album's being mixed as we speak, and I'm really looking forward to everyone hearing that, with arrangements by David Hirschfelder.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God, Ben.
Yeah.
You're gonna, mate, and I got to meet, like, David's one of my idols. I grew up listening to Pyramid and bands that he was in, and then obviously the Whispering Jack thing, and and I got to meet him a couple of years ago because he was in Peter Couples's band in the 80s. I mean, get this for a band, mate. Peter in the 80s he had Ross Ingalls on guitar, he had Robbie Little on bass. He had some guy named Virgil Donati on drums, right?
Oh, I think I've heard of him. Yeah,
you've heard of him, right? Yeah. He had Virg on drums, and he had David Hirschfelder on keys. And that band, I've got some footage of those guys playing in the 80s. It is amazing. So I idolized David, and all those guys too, right? Which have become later on. I got to know really, really well, But I found out that David Hirschfelder was doing these arrangements for Russell Morris, and I just went, I cannot wait to hear this stuff. So, so the album should be out by I think September. They're talking about. It's gonna blow a lot of people's minds. So, and I'm really happy with the way we all played and the drum sounds and things like that. And the way it's being mixed is impeccable. That's all I can say. So that's coming out, and I guess that's about it, man.
That's a lot, man. That's a lot on your plate.
That's okay.
That's great.
I've still got time to do other things, So yeah.
Wow.
You got to live life too, Ben.
Absolutely. You got to squeeze in the music life balance somewhere.
Yeah.
But man,
totally.
thank you again. This has been such an incredible chat. I learnt so much. I know there's going to be a lot of guys out there, guys and girls, who are going to take a lot of this and run with it too. So thank you again, Gerry. And
you're
let's
welcome.
do it again.
Absolutely. And whoever wants to get in contact with me, just drop a message and I'll reply and answer your questions or whatever it is. It's too easy these days.
Amazing.
Great, man.
So great. Thank you so much. Speak soon.
You got it. See you, mate.